So I got to talk about what is one of the worst rankings I've ever seen. I focused a lot on the whole Caitlin Clark at 10, which doesn't make any sense, by the way, because, like, this is a prediction for the season. Is the prediction that Caitlin Clark is going to go and get injured? If that's the prediction, she shouldn't be 10. But if the prediction is, if this is based on a healthy Caitlin Clark, you can't have her any lower than 5. You just can't. If she is healthy, you cannot have her any lower than 5. First 4, okay.
The words are out, and the reaction is pure fire. Caitlin Clark at number 10 isn't just a bad take, it's a total embarrassment to the sport of basketball. When the news hit the locker rooms, Angel Reese was reportedly stunned by the lack of respect shown to the new generation of stars. This isn't just about a list, it's about a systematic attempt to downplay the impact of players who are literally saving the league's ratings. To see the most dominant rookie in history buried behind role players is a move so bold, it's actually insulting. The silence from the experts is deafening, but the noise from the players is just starting to get loud.
No, if these people watch basketball. Like, there's a big difference. And let's never forget ESPN making up analytics to rank Caitlin Clark as low as possible. Like, if you read the article that had that had Caitlin Clark 6th in the Rookie of the Year race when she was behind Kate Martin and behind Julie Vanloo and behind Aaliyah, or was she ahead of Edwards? She was like one spot ahead of Seb Uzun. So if you ever look back at that article, it literally says in the article that the stats that we have chosen to...
Let's get straight into the logic, or the complete lack thereof, behind these rankings. Putting Caitlin Clark at 10 is basically predicting a disaster season that hasn't even happened yet. If this list is meant to be a projection of who will dominate the court, you cannot have her any lower than the top 5. It's mathematically impossible to look at her production and her impact on the game and come up with 9 people who contribute more. The experts are trying to say she's a tier below the elite, but the fans and the players know the truth. If she stays healthy, she is a top 5 player every single day of the week, and anything else is just pure bias.
And benefits people that don't have the ball in their hands. It literally, like, it says, so I'm paraphrasing. It basically says that based on these metrics, role players will perform better than stars. Like, it was a bunch of random stats, like stuff we'd never heard of. Like, what the fuck was a Raptor win? I know Raptor is a stat, but it's like, you know, in advanced stats where there are 100 different advanced stats, they picked 5 random ones that Caitlin Clark was bad in and put the 5 of those in just to put her in 6th. Like, it was a completely rigged thing to have Caitlin Clark as low as possible. And this here,
the disrespect doesn't stop at Clark, because the treatment of Fee is just as wild. If she is on the court and healthy, you can't realistically have her lower than the number 2 spot in the entire league. Some people would even argue she's the number 1 player in the world right now. But instead of giving her the flowers she's earned, the list makers are playing games with her placement. It's a weird situation where the media is ignoring the actual basketball being played in favor of narratives they've already decided on. It makes you wonder if the people making these lists are even watching the games, or if they're just looking at spreadsheets in a dark room.
So we have to start off with NaLyssa Smith at 48. Like, I think NaLyssa Smith had a bit of a breakout, not even a bit of a breakout last season. Like, she didn't look awful. Like, that's all I will say, is that she looked genuinely awful in Dallas. She looks like she's in shape now. I'm expecting a better season, but at no point in NaLyssa Smith's career has she been a top 50 player. Her defense is still quite poor. Again, it is getting better. She is a solid 6th option on her team. And I'm saying, what do you mean by 6th option? Like,
the most shocking part of this whole situation is how ESPN seems to be inventing analytics just to rank Caitlin Clark as low as possible. We're talking about a system that literally punishes players for having the ball in their hands too much. If you look at the metrics they chose, they actually benefit role players who don't have to carry the load of a franchise. It's a rigged game. They're using stats like something called a Raptor win, which most fans have never even heard of, just to justify putting her in 6th or 10th place. It's a deliberate attempt to move the goalposts, so the stars who actually run the league look less impressive than they really are.
Better than Kiki Area. Projected to have a better season than Kiki Area. In what world? Like, we are still... Camila Cardoso is 25. And we are still saying, oh, you know, if she gets more aggressive, You don't teach a 25-year-old to get more aggressive. You don't. You do not teach a 25-year-old to get more aggressive. Kiki Iriafen was an all-star as a rookie. Made Team USA, and I understand Cardoso.
Angel Reese is finding herself in the middle of this controversy too, especially when you compare her to the veterans she's outperforming. The list has Dearica Hamby ranked above her, but if you've ever watched them go head-to-head, it's not even a debate. Reese kills her every single time they match up on the court. It's one thing to have an opinion, but it's another thing to ignore the head-to-head reality of the game. Reese has proven she can hang with the best and beat them, yet she's being treated like a secondary character in her own story. It's no wonder she's shocked by how these rankings turned out, because the tape tells a completely different story.
So not since when? Like, not in 2026. Not since when. Sorry, since when? She's been great. But it's like putting Brittany Griner on the list. Based on what? What she was 3 years ago? Like, Jordan Canada nearly blew her knee. It literally says here, but when she's on the court, she is a top backup point guard. She's going to start. Who the fuck is going to play point guard if she's... Is Isabelle Bourlaise going to come on and play point guard? No. Jordan Canada's clearly the starting point guard. Is Angel Reese starting point guard? No, it's clearly Jordan Canada. And they literally have said she's a backup, top backup. But...
let's talk about Nalissa Smith being ranked at 48, because that's another head scratcher. She's had a bit of a breakout, sure, and she looks like she's in much better shape this year, but has she ever really been a top 50 player in her career? Her defense is still a major question mark, and at best, she's the 5th or 6th option on her own team. She's a solid player for a dunker spot, but putting her on a list of the elite while leaving off rising stars is just confusing. It feels like they're rewarding seniority over actual impact, and it's leaving the fans feeling like the whole ranking process is just a popularity contest for the old guard.
She shoots better. And yeah, she doesn't have the reps of Jordan Canada, but she's better. They say Erica Wheeler is better than Layla Lacan. Erica Wheeler better. Layla Lacan is one of the most impactful point guards in the entire league. She is, in fact, one of the most impactful point guards in the league, and you will see it this year. But Erica Wheeler, based on being a pretty good, really good backup, being what, like 4th and 6th player of the year voting? I like Erica Wheeler, but 45 is crazy. It's crazy. And ironically, based on these rankings, the Fever in 2024 should have been better. Should have won the damn title. But,
the snubs are where things get truly embarrassing for the league's credibility. How do you leave Dominique Malonga off this list entirely? We are talking about a player who projects to be a massive star and has already proven she can play with the best in the world. Let's not forget that she made a game-winning defensive stop against Aja Wilson herself. She's outplayed the best players in the league and hit clutch shots when it mattered most. Yet she can't even crack the top 50? It's a joke. If you're predicting the best players for the upcoming season and you leave out someone with that kind of ceiling, you aren't doing your job as an analyst.
So is better than Sonia Citron. Jewel Lloyd genuinely looked like she forgot how to play basketball till the playoffs last year. She was good. She was good in the playoffs, but like, she was good for a backup in the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say. She was good for a backup. After that, you have... I'm just going to go on some bad ones. Why is Satu ahead of Neka? Why is Satu over Neka? What are we doing? Satu over Neka. Satu one spot behind Leah Boston.
Then you have Aaliyah Edwards, who was a borderline all-star in her own right. She's coming in as a starter and has been absolutely killing it in the preseason, but somehow she's invisible to the people making these lists. Her team doesn't even have anyone at her position who can challenge her for reps, meaning she's going to have a massive year. But instead of acknowledging her growth, they've left her in the shadows. It's like there's a wall between the reality of the preseason and the opinions of the media. If you aren't paying attention to the work these young women are putting in right now, your rankings are going to be outdated before the first tip-off. The situation with Kiki Iriafen is even more confusing for anyone who follows the game closely. She was an all-star as a rookie and made Team USA, which is one of the hardest rosters to crack in all of sports. But after all that success, she suddenly drops down to the 36th best player in the league? How does that even happen? You don't just forget how to play basketball at an elite level after being an all-star. It's like they are punishing her for something that has nothing to do with her performance on the court. It's these kinds of drops that make the entire list feel like it was put together without any real thought or consistency. Jordan Canada being at 38 is another choice that has people scratching their heads. They're calling her a top-tier backup point guard, but who is she even backing up? The team doesn't have anyone else who can realistically run the point at her level. When she's on the court, she's a force, but the list treats her like she's a bench warmer from 3 years ago. Meanwhile, you have players like Monica Cole-McCanny who are arguably much better right now, but get zero recognition. Monica is one of the top defensive point guards in the entire league. She's bigger, and she shoots the ball better, but she's nowhere to be found on this list. The point guard disrespect continues with the ranking of Erica Wheeler over Leila Lacan. Erica is a great backup and a fan favorite, but Leila is one of the most impactful point guards in the entire world right now. You're going to see it this year on the court, but the rankings are already behind the curve. They're basing these numbers on what people did years ago, instead of what they are doing today. It's a common theme throughout the entire top 50. They are looking in the rearview mirror instead of looking at the talent that is right in front of them. It's a disservice to the players who are actually moving the needle for the league. If you look at the Indiana Fever's rankings, it creates a massive contradiction that makes no sense. Based on these individual rankings, the Fever should have been a championship contender last year, but we all know that wasn't the case. They have players ranked high who didn't produce at that level, while the real stars are being pushed down. It's like the media is trying to have it both ways by praising the roster while simultaneously disrespecting the players who actually lead it. It's a mess of logic that falls apart the moment you start looking at the actual win-loss records and the stats that actually matter for winning games. Jewel Lloyd is another player whose ranking seems to be based on her name rather than her recent play. For most of last season, it looked like she had completely forgotten how to play basketball until the playoffs started. She was good in the postseason, but for a backup level performance at best. Yet, she's still ranked among the elite of the elite. It's hard to take a list seriously when it ignores a year-long slump just because a player has a big reputation. The league is too talented now to just give out spots based on what someone did 5 years ago. You have to earn your spot every single season, but this list clearly disagrees. The high-tier rankings are just as chaotic, with Satu Sabali being placed ahead of Nneka Ogwumike. What are we even doing here? Nneka is a legend who consistently performs at a high level, while Satu is great but has more questions surrounding her game. Putting Satu over a veteran like Nneka is a bold move that doesn't seem to be backed up by anything other than a desire to be controversial. It's the same story with Satu being ranked just one spot behind Aaliyah Boston. It's total madness. There is no world where that ranking reflects the actual impact those players have on their respective teams or the league as a whole. Then you have the Dejanai Carrington situation, where she's somehow ranked 3 spots ahead of Phoebe. If you look at the stats, it's not even a contest. Phoebe is a better defender, a better shooter, a better passer, and at least an equivalent rebounder. She is the ultimate connective piece that makes a team work. Other than driving her head down to the basket and throwing the ball near the rim, there isn't a single aspect of basketball where Dejanai is better. But because she's a more explosive player, she gets the higher ranking. It's a perfect example of how this list values highlights over actual winning basketball. The inconsistencies just keep piling up the further you go down the list. Why is Marina Mabrey ranked over Veronica Burton? There are so many things here that just don't make sense to anyone who follows the game on a daily basis. It feels like the people who put this together were just throwing names at a dartboard and seeing what stuck. There's no cohesive strategy or logic connecting one rank to the next. 1 minute they are valuing potential, the next they are valuing legacy, and then they are using fake analytics to punish the league's biggest stars. It's a total disaster from top to bottom, and the players are right to be frustrated. The omission of Monica Cole-McCanny is perhaps one of the wildest snubs of the entire year. To have one of the premier defensive guards in the league completely off the list is a move that shows a total lack of knowledge. She has the size, the shooting, and the defensive chops to be a top player, but she's being completely ignored. It's the same thing with the international talent that is starting to take over the game. The WNBA is a global league now, but the media is still stuck in a very narrow mindset. They are missing the forest for the trees, and it's making their expert opinions look more like amateur hour. Dominique Malonga's situation is the perfect example of this disconnect. Everyone who actually knows the game is projecting her to be in all-star territory this year. She's outplayed the best in the world, she's hit clutch shots, and she has the physical tools to dominate for a decade. But instead of acknowledging that, the list makers chose to include players like Brittany Griner and Alyssa Smith, who are clearly on the other side of their peak. It's not even a knock on those veterans to say that the young talent is catching up and passing them. It's just the natural progression of the sport, but the media is refusing to acknowledge the shift. The reliance on these advanced stats like the Raptor metric is the ultimate red flag for this list's credibility. When you have to dig up 5 random stats that a player is bad in just to justify a low ranking, you aren't being objective, you are being a hater. It's a completely rigged system designed to favor players who don't have the pressure of carrying a team on their backs. The stars of the league like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are being punished for their high usage, which is literally their job. It's a bizarre way to evaluate talent, and it only serves to alienate the fans who know what real dominance looks like. Angel Reese's reaction to all of this is probably the most honest take we've seen. She knows what it's like to go out there and fight for every rebound and every point, only to be told by a spreadsheet that she's not as good as someone she just dominated. The players see through the noise. They know who can play and who can't. When a list like this comes out and it contradicts everything they see on the court, it loses all its power. It becomes a meme instead of a serious piece of sports journalism. The league deserves better than this, and the players definitely deserve more respect for the work they put in. The bottom line is that this list feels like it was designed to spark controversy rather than provide an accurate look at the league. By putting Caitlin Clark at 10 and snubbing future All-Stars, ESPN got exactly what they wanted. Everyone is talking about them. But they did it at the expense of their own reputation. You can only tell fans that the sky is green so many times before they stop listening to you. The talent in the WNBA right now is at an all-time high, and it's a shame that the primary media outlet for the sport is so out of touch with the actual reality of the game and its new stars. As we move into the new season, these rankings are going to be a massive chip on the shoulders of players like Clark and Reese. They don't need any extra motivation, but the media just gave it to them on a silver platter. Every time they go out and dominate a veteran who is ranked ahead of them, this list is going to look worse and worse. The young stars are ready to take over, and no amount of Raptor wins or rigged analytics is going to stop them. The court is the only place where the rankings actually matter, and the truth is going to be revealed very soon when the ball finally tips off. Ultimately, the embarrassment of this top 50 list is a wake-up call for how we talk about women's basketball. We need to move past the era of lazy rankings and biased metrics that favor the old guard over the new wave. The impact of players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is undeniable, and any list that doesn't reflect that is simply a work of fiction. The fans are smarter than the analysts give them credit for, and the players are better than the spreadsheets suggest. It's time to start giving credit where it's due and acknowledge that the game has changed forever, whether the experts like it or not.